Imagine for a moment a single day that splits the financial world in two. Close your eyes. Picture Jamie Dimon, the kingpin of old money, taking the stage on national TV, his voice heavy with the power to move nations. You can almost feel the static in the air, the tension, the desperate need for control. On that same day, as storm clouds gather over Wall Street, a Bitcoin exchange walks straight through the front door of the Federal Reserve. The President of the United States, a titan in his own right, fires back at the banks, accusing them of sabotaging the very future they once claimed to protect. The war is here. Old money claws and scratches, but new money keeps moving, like a river that can't be dammed. Before we plunge into this battle of titans, if you crave honesty, depth, and stories about money that bleed with emotion and truth, subscribe to Crypto 101 Central. And while you're at it, tap the bell. Let it be your pulse in a world that refuses to stand still. The truth is raw. There is no safety net woven with gold threads. The old order, the men in suits behind glass doors, are rattled more than ever before. I'm Hurley, and this story is personal. It's not just numbers and charts flickering on a screen. It's the weight of history, the clash of conviction and reality. As the world burns in the Middle East, as fear claws at the edge of every headline, Bitcoin stands. Not indifferent, not cold, but unbroken. In just a few days, it surges dramatically, reaching new highs around 74,000. It eclipses gold, shames the languid stocks, pulls the focus from bullets and fire to something deeper, something enduring. For years, Bitcoin was called a risk, a toy to be tossed aside when thunder threatened. Gold was safety, predictable, familiar. But now, the script has flipped. Suddenly, Bitcoin is behaving like what it was always meant to be. A neutral, hard asset. It does not flinch while the world trembles. But pay attention, not to the price, but to the pipes beneath. It's the skeleton that matters. While the mouthpieces of tradition shout about regulation, the world is quietly rewiring itself beneath their feet. The news that crypto exchange Kraken has a Federal Reserve master account is not just a footnote, it's a seismic crack in an ancient foundation. Direct access to Fedwire, a railroad of money where trillions move every single day, is a signal. Morgan Stanley, another titan, files for a spot Bitcoin ETF, BNY Mellon guarding the gates. These aren't headlines, they are tectonic shifts, the world's plumbing changing behind the curtains. Old money stands atop its castle walls, hurling words like boulders, desperate to squash the revolution. And Jamie Dimon, watch him closely, he is not just any voice. He is the very embodiment of a system built to exclude and preserve. Listen, he calls Bitcoin a pet rock, a criminal's delight, and he champions blockchains as long as banks hold the keys. What is he really afraid of? It's not criminality, it's not volatility, it's the threat of a world where money is unbound, uncontrolled, unyielding, untamed. I hear him on CNBC. His words are cold logic, wrapped in velvet threats. Rewards, he says, are really interest, so if crypto wants to play the yield game, let them become banks. Subject them to the full weight of every regulation, every mandate, every string that ties institutions to the old world's mast. He makes it sound reasonable, even noble. But beneath the surface, I sense the panic. What he truly asks for is an impossible burden. Stablecoins, so far, hold $1 for every dollar issued. Treasuries back them, cold and hard. They do not gamble with your money 10 times over, the way banks do in secret. Dimon wants to shackle the new world to the same broken rules that poisoned the old, to snuff out competition before it can threaten the throne. I see through it. Protection, not fairness. Monopoly, not open rivalry. It's the ancient king setting fire to the bridge as the villagers approach with torches of their own. This matters, far beyond the boardroom skirmishes. The storm has breached the highest office. Within hours of Dimon's speech, President Trump counters with a direct, public assault on banking power. Eric Trump, standing in the breach, doubles down, calling the bank's resistance anti-American, anti-consumer. Suddenly, irony hangs heavy in the air. The old money trumps, now the burning heart of the new revolution? 5 years ago, I would have laughed, yet here we are. Whether you love them or hate them, the lines are drawn. The political machine pivots. Bitcoin is not just currency. It's a voting bloc, an idea whose time has barreled forward too quickly to be ignored. The banks are losing the war, not just in infrastructure, but in the minds and hearts of the people and the leaders who sway them. And here's the sting. The entire banking argument hangs on the myth of their own stability, their supposed wisdom. Yet, strip away the rhetoric, and what do you see? Cockroaches in the shadows, feeding on risk, blind to consequences. Jeff Snyder has mapped the rot behind the golden doors for decades. Fraud upon fraud, credit extended to shadows, collateral double posted, unchecked, unloved. No one even cares to look, to ask, to verify. The fantasy of bulletproof banks is paper thin. The real horror is not the new, untested, wild crypto world, but the old world's rotting underbelly. When the illusion shatters, the truth pours out, dark and ugly. I remember recently when the entire Federal Reserve payment system, the beating heart of the American banking network, stumbled and broke. Payments delayed, everyone, everywhere, left hanging. The system Diamond claims is safe? It cracked. Meanwhile, in the background, Bitcoin has pulsed unbroken since its first heartbeat in January 2009. No cockroaches, no bailouts, no frantic phone calls in the middle of the night. Just math, just truth. If you followed this far, click like. Let your presence be known in a sea of doubt, a beacon to others searching for clarity. And tell me, down in the comments, what do you feel? Are we on the cusp of surrender, or will the banks find one last gasp of resistance? Now, turn your gaze inward. What do you see in the mirror of this fight? Old money lobs grenades on Bloomberg, while behind the scenes, the very rails upon which all dollars ride start guiding Bitcoin as well. Kraken's master account is not symbolic, not ceremonial. It's the equalizer that brings new money into the very core of the system. Morgan Stanley, world-spanning, lays its claim, filing for a spot ETF with vast client wealth potentially ready to shift. These are not just new products. They are a migration, the slow adjustment of an entire organism. Bitcoin is not storming the castle, sword in hand. It is being welcomed inside because the numbers demand its presence. And don't forget, the landscape is global, not just American. This moment, as the Middle East cracks with conflict and nations reach for gold and hard assets, proves a truth few are willing to say aloud. Neutral money is the only answer. Every fiat currency is a loaded weapon. Each can be frozen, seized, inflated to dust. Wars are fought not just with tanks, but with debasement, with treasuries, with sanctions. Gold? Gold can and has been taken every time it became too powerful. Stablecoins? They are just digital shadows of the same old jailer. But Bitcoin, open, auditable, beyond borders and control. No one can print it, no one can seize it en masse, no one can halt its heartbeat. So the question echoes, do you sense the collapse of trust? The world stage is shifting like tectonic plates, the old alliances breaking, the new rules unwritten. Each shock in Tehran and Washington, each sanction, each freezing of assets, reveals the same old fear. What happens when trust is gone? Neutral money matters in ways we are just beginning to understand. Let me be brutally clear. Bitcoin has already won. The banks are spent, outmaneuvered even as they keep fighting. They write letters opposing legislation with one hand and secretly build Bitcoin products with the other. They warn of danger even as their own house teeters. Bitcoin sits quietly. It refuses to apologize for existing. An open ledger, a fixed supply. The tide rises each day, pulling Bitcoin closer to the center of everything. Most haven't noticed yet, but you, watching this, can see the lines converging, the pipes, the politics, the pulse of something historic. Don't let your attention wander now. Other stories, other battles, are waiting for you here on Crypto 101 Central. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, share this with that friend who still trusts the banks to never fail them. The future isn't waiting, and in the game of money, there is, and never will be, second best.